Hello everybody, my name is Robert but people call me Robbie. I live in an area that is well known for being quite rough on a busy street that had always looked run down. Most people that knew the area would always make it a point to avoid the street, and people would even prefer to walk the longest route just so they didn't have to go near it. And then there was my Nana. Her house was the best house on the street. To be fair, it was probably the best house in a 5-mile radius. It was one of those houses you wouldn't expect to be anywhere near a street like this. It was the only house on the entire street that had been fully paid for. Yep, that's Nana. As long as I've known her, she never did anything in halves. Her house was one of those places you would usually see in a Real Homes magazine. It had bay windows at the front of the house and a fence. I always remember her working really hard and saving up all of her money to get. She had an old brick wall at the front that had a tall part I would always sit on. There was a huge tree in front of the house that seemed to stem all the way to her bedroom window. First, stepping into my Nana's garden, you would have to go through a black gate attached to a large fence that ran all the way up to the back of the garden. The back of the garden looked like you had just stepped into your very own fairy tale. It truly was something. It had finely cut grass just about every color flower you could imagine, and a Stonehenge wall that led all the way around the garden to a little well. The best way to describe it was magical. At the moment upon entry to the house, you would have to walk up a disabled ramp that was used for the aid of my late granddad. Bless him. He truly was my Nana's world, but I know he's still with my Nana in spirit. My Nana even had an extension built for him because he struggled getting up and down the stairs. So walking into my Nana's, you was greeted by a welcome mat followed by a smile from her that always made you feel special. The house was beautiful inside. It had matching decor everywhere, an old but still modern look to it, and the kitchen even had a pew in it. You know, the ones you would normally find at your local church. The front room was no different. It really was an outstanding house and garden. And just as well she deserved it. Ever since I can remember, she has always put her pride and joy into it. Going upstairs, there was 3 bedrooms. Mine was the first one to the left. You immediately saw the second walked up the last few steps. There was the spare bedroom in the middle, and last but not least there was my Nana's and Granddad's bedroom. So with the tour of the house out the way, the real reason I had a bedroom was I lived there. Yeah, that's right, my Nana and Granddad brought me up. They treated me like their own always, and I lived there because I just wanted to be there all the time. So that's where I remained. I didn't think I would ever leave, especially leaving my Nana alone after the passing of my granddad. But obviously we all grow up and eventually we all get our own wives and children. So that's what happened. I would always visit still and be sure to never miss out on my Nana's famous steamed sponge cake that was my favorite. So all grown up and making my way to my Nana's, I was looking forward to enjoying some cake. I knew she would make it, she always did. So I've been very busy this past month and I hadn't had chance to go visit her for at least 3 and a bit weeks, so I was excited. I left her a voice message on her old phone she's had since I was a little boy. And it wasn't unusual for her to not call me back. I would just leave a message saying when I was coming down. She would then read it and I would just show up the time I had told her on the message. So I arrive at my Nana's house. It was quite dark and there wasn't anybody walking around on the street. If you dropped a pin, you probably be able to hear it. All you could really hear was the branches from the big tree outside Nana's bedroom window as it repeatedly tapped on it. I opened the gate on the fence and then opened the second gate that led up to the back door. I gently knocked on the door. To my surprise, there was no answer. It was weird because she would normally keep the kitchen light on at night and it was off. I knew she wouldn't have gone to bed because it was 11 o'clock at night, and although old, she never was one for going to bed early, plus she was expecting me tonight. I continued to knock and sure as well I saw the light come on in the kitchen. I was relieved to then see my Nana's silhouette through the back door glass window. She opened the door and wasting no time I quickly rushed to give her a hug. I said to her, "Thank goodness, you had me worried there for a second." My Nana just looked at me with a blank expression on her face. "Nana," I said, "what's the matter?" She took a long pause before greeting me with a hello and she asked, "How are you?" I didn't think into it. I was just happy to finally be inside and to get my hands on her delicious steam pudding cake. I took a seat on the pew in the kitchen. When my Nana said to me, "What are you doing here tonight?" "Nana, I told you I was coming." She appeared to look like she was thinking about what to say. When she said, "I'm sorry, the phone has been playing up." "Well, you're here now, would you like something to eat?" "I thought you would never ask," I said back to her, licking my lips and banging my knife and fork up and down in excitement. "I hope you're hungry," Nana said. "Oh yes, I'm extremely looking forward to your special, Nana." She seemed to pause. There was that same blank expression on her face again. I watched her as she gave another late response. "Oh yeah, my special, of course, my darling." That's weird, I thought. See, the whole time I've lived here she has never called me my darling. To someone else it wouldn't be so strange, but remember, I have lived with her for 20 plus years. So still ignoring my thoughts once again, I waited, and it was not that long before she was serving me a lovely plate of stew and dumplings. "Wow," I commented, "this looks great, Nana." So after eating everything on my plate, making sure to clean all the gravy with a piece of uncut bread, I was ready for Nana's special. "I hope you're ready for my special," she said. "I sure am, Nana." She turned around from the oven and had what appeared to be an apple pie in her hand. "Nana, what is it?" "Don't be silly, my darling, it's my special, your favorite, my special apple pie." I looked at her for a few seconds. I couldn't believe it. "Are you alright, Nana?" "What do you mean, my darling?" I stood up, looked deep into her eyes. "You're not my Nana," I said. "What are you talking about, my darling? My Nana knows I don't like apple pie, and she also has never called me my darling." I asked her, "If you are my Nana, what is my Nana's special?" She paused for a second. "Is it flapjacks?" I'm afraid my memory isn't that good these days. I played dumb before saying, "I'm going to be going now, Nana. Thank you for a great night." She locked the back door. I said again, "I'm going to go, Nana. I'm so sorry I can't let you leave this house. I have a bond with your family and I can't let you tell them what you know." "Where is my Nana?" I said. "You're looking at her." And with that statement I began to see what looked like little folds in the ends of her skin, like she was wearing her skin. I hadn't noticed before because, well, how many people really stare close enough at their Nana's body? "What have you done with her?" She smiled at me with a scary smile. "She's dead. And now I'm going to have to kill you." I shouted at her, "You won't get away with this." "My darling, we already are." I looked at her, puzzled in what I had heard. I replied. "Yes, just about everybody in this neighborhood has been replaced." I asked her, "What are you?" She smiled once again. "We are known as the Skin Keepers, and we can choose whoever is best placed for the job. We cannot adopt memories, just appearance." I was overwhelmed by what I was being told. What do I do? I thought for a few seconds as I looked at what was no longer my Nana. I thought about what she said. Of course, I thought to myself. They can't adopt memories, there's no way she knows this house like me. So not knowing what it was capable of, I pushed her into the oven and raced to the staircase, ran up the stairs to the top, take a left, and went into my old room and locked the door behind me. When I went into the room, I was pleasantly surprised to find that my real Nana has kept my room exactly the same way as it had been when I lived there. I began looking through some of my stuff I had left there. I checked every drawer under the bed and sat on the end of the bed, still in disbelief. It then began walking upstairs to look for me. It tried opening my door, but I locked it. She started to speak in a scary deep voice. It said, "Open this door." I was petrified. I started to panic. To this day I don't know why I even thought to check my old hiding place. But looking back, I think it was my granddad helping me. I checked my old hiding place. It was a little space in between two old floorboards under a piece of carpet I had cut off some years ago. I put my hand inside only to find some blank CDs. I don't know why they was in there. A little bit of money, it wasn't much, probably about £5, in a piece of paper. I intriguing unfolded open the piece of paper to see if it had anything written on it. I couldn't believe what it said. The note read, "Dear grandson, if you're reading this now." It got to me first. It all started when I started to ask questions about certain people. They don't like questions. When one of them found out I was questioning things, it came for me. I first saw it out my bedroom window. It was leaning up against the fence down the alleyway across the street. The second time I saw it hop on the tall wall where you used to always sit. I'm writing this to you because I know next time it's going to get me. They aren't what they say they are. Trust no one in this town. You must never visit this town ever again, please, my dear grandson. I would just like to say I love you dearly, and I just hope they don't get to you before you have the chance to escape. All my love, Nana. I now knew what I had to do. I opened my window, climbing onto the extension attached to the house, and I slowly walked across the fragile roof tiles to the other side. When I heard a loud crashing noise, it had smashed the door open. With the window open, I could see it. As we both locked eyes, it gave me an evil smile and began climbing out of the window. I nervously tried to walk faster. Now hot on my case, and me being so scared of heights, I had no choice but to make the decision to dive into my next door neighbor's hedges. Remembering what Nana told me about trusting no one, I made sure I landed so that I would immediately spring up. Once safely on the ground, I raced back out towards the front gate. I had one last look at it. It was grinning at me, never taking its eyes off me once. It looked like it didn't want to jump. I don't know if its attributes was only the same as the person they skinned, but I wasn't wasting any time in getting out of there. Once back out on the street, I took one last look at Nana's and Granddad's house. With a flash of memories that made me remember all the good times I had there, I got in my car and drove away. I never stepped foot in the town again.